Do you have to do something, Marie, or do you just want me to start doing my thing? Marie?
You're running the meeting. I just started to record it.
All right. Oh, okay. So I just want to make sure you push the right button. Okay. Good evening, everybody. This is Tom Burrows. I am the chair of the Public Safety and Human Services Committee of Community Board 1. Could the other committee members give their names and...
Hi, this is Lisa Mamonte. I'm co-chair for Public Safety and Human Service Committee as well.
I'm Marie Lienza. I'm a member of the committee.
I'm Gina Barrows. I'm a member of the committee also.
Hi, I'm Bozina Kaminsky, member of the committee.
Evening, Erin Drinkwater, committee member.
Vanda D'Amato, committee member.
Okay, so now all the guests.
Hi, Yuri Sanchez, Brooklyn Borough Director, DSS.
Okay.
I'm Casey Burke with Breaking Ground. I'm the program director for homeless outreach for Brooklyn.
I'm Chris Tabellaria with Breaking Ground. I'm one of the assistant vice presidents overseeing the Brooklyn and Queens outreach teams.
Okay.
Hi, and I'm Tanya Tilley. I'm the assistant commissioner at the Street Homeless Solution, which I oversee the Joint Command Center.
Hi, this is Derek Aiken, DHS Program Administrator.
Oh, where'd he come from? Okay, thank you. And then the council member of reps. The elected official reps.
Yeah, this is Alex Rodriguez from Councilmember Antonio Reynoso's office.
Hey, Benjamin Solitaire with Councilmember Levin's office.
Hi, this is Eliana with Senator Brian Kavanaugh's office.
Hi, Eliana. Elected officials, I'm sorry for the late notice. I was in California for 17 days getting somebody out of prison, and I didn't realize that we didn't do like a formal invitation. So when I realized it, I sent it out quickly. At our last Public Safety and Human Services Committee meeting, one of our agenda items that came up was the issues and concerns about the people without homes who are living under the BQE overpass. And in the past, we were able to coordinate group, I don't know what you would call them, that was set up by Assemblymember Lentil's office with the police department, the Department of Sanitation, Health Department, Homeless Services, to do outreach to the people under the BQE and try and make sure that they were getting the services that they needed, but also a lot of people were concerned about parking spaces going away, the hypodermic needles being left out there where people are walking to work or working to school. So we want, with all the changes that have happened with the police department and our understanding that the police department is no longer involved, it's how do we set up this? How are we going to be reaching out to these people? Know that winter's coming. If there are concerns from the community that come to the community board, who should we go to first and how can we address it? Now, Gio D'Amato has been sort of one of the point persons for my committee on this. And so perhaps he can outline some of our concerns, and then we had listed them in our letter, and maybe we can get a response from the representatives that are here. So, Gio?
Yeah, Tom, let me just try to find that letter. I'm sorry, I'm in the middle of 14 things, but let me find the letter and I'll quickly go through the concerns. So I'm not doing it off the top of my head.
All right. If I was real quick, I could scan it and send it to you, but it was attached to the meeting notice, so I can read the items if you want to then fill them in.
I want to start that way. I could get
All right. So the first thing was that brought up was that there was a perceived lack of follow-up response to the people without homes in the area encampments under the elevated BQE, particularly at Kingsland and Meeker, Humboldt and Meeker, McGinnis and Meeker, and North 6th and Meeker. So, Gio, you're most familiar with that. You want to fill that in and see what kind of information we can get from on that?
I found the letter. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So really, the major issue here is, the people underneath the highway need help, and we just, as a community, want to make sure they're getting the help that they need, in order to no longer be in the situation that they're in. And also, there are specific sites that have been noted over a period of time. This isn't that it's just the last couple of months. This has been years of these encampments existing in the state that they exist. So, that was the first issue, those hot spots.
Okay. Okay.
Go ahead.
And Mr. Esposito, who's the district manager, had sent photographs out earlier today of those sites. I don't know if they were sent to DHS or not.
They were.
Okay. And Ms. Sanchez had responded that those teams canvass the area on a daily basis. So who are those teams that canvass, and when do they do that? And how could the community board interact with those teams canvassing, or when would they see them, or and who's in charge of those teams? Whose teams are they? It says our teams. Somebody?
So it's breaking ground. That
Okay,
was the response.
Okay, when we speak, we have to say who we are.
This is Yuri Sanchez.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, the team that canvasses is breaking ground.
Okay. And when do they do that?
Hello, this is Casey Burke from Breaking Ground. So we do canvass the area multiple times a day. Our offices are very, very close to that location. So our teams will canvass the area before and after shifts on their way, to and from the office. It is one of the places that we are at the most because of its location and its acuity, as far as the number of people down there and the level of assistance that they require.
So you said your office is close by. Where's the office?
We're on North 6th Street and Driggs.
Okay. And is there, say, if somebody, particularly community board member, notes a particular problem spot, can they call Breaking Ground, or they call Yuri, or they call, who do they?
They can reach out to me directly. They can use 311 to report the issue, or they can reach out to me directly, and I can get my team over there.
Okay. So, all right. Now, can you explain so for everybody's benefit, because I've been doing this a long time, but not everybody else has. And I just came back from LA, where every street is filled with tents, people living in the tents. So, when I say an encampment, that means hundreds of people living in the same spot.
Yes.
But could you, from your point of view, explain what your interaction is with the people under there and what it is that they are or not allowed to do, considering when I came from LA, people have their tent and their stuff has to be in a certain compact area. Looking at these photos, it looks like the people can throw their stuff all over the place and nobody can do much about it. And then you get parkers could be interacting with those people. I know that some of the businesses closest to the BQE overpass are not quite as sympathetic to the homeless that we are, and might want to put some of their business things there and say, what is all this crap all over the ground? Is there a limit? Is there a what is the story with what can and cannot be done? People, I understand, cannot be forced to move off the street, but can they be spreading their stuff out for 4 or 5 parking spaces and nobody can touch it? That's.
DHS might be able to talk more about the actual laws and whatnot. As far as we are concerned, people, they are not allowed to have an encampment, which is termed, it's a kind of a specific term for like a structure, something that is like, would have to be taken apart. People are also not allowed to have tents. I know some of them do have tents. Our purpose is to engage with them and work with them until they are open to accepting services. We go out there multiple times a day. We have our outreach teams that are canvassing, the whole borough, but also have our case management teams who are assigned to specific individuals to meet with them and assess their needs, assess their safety, and work with them toward, whatever it is that they need in order to move indoors. So we work with them to get them ID and income and various other elements that they require in order to move forward. But it is something they have to buy into, and every so often we talk about this location. It is difficult for us to clear out because it is a really incredible panhandling spot. People coming off and on the bridge and off and on to the BQE will stop and give people money. And so, we can clean it up often, and we do, and we move people off, out of that area often. We have, a bunch of people just moved inside from that location recently, but they still return during the day because the panhandling is really awesome. And so they make a lot of money there, and it's hard for them to leave. Yeah, and that's
Okay, so
a challenge.
somebody at DHS or whatever, the first paragraph of the letter uses the word encampments, and Casey suggested that encampments are really not allowed, which is of course structures made out of plywood and tarps and tents. So is that true, not true? Are we been sued about that, not been sued about it? Who can answer that question? Because people say to us, why is that tent allowed there? Why is that guy living in his mobile home? Is there a rule about that?
Hi, so this is Tanya Tillery from Street Homeless Solutions. So I can give a little bit of insight. As the mayor said, we don't have encampments. New York City is not an encampment city. So some of the things people see, even though they are reference encampments, we call them street conditions because all of their stuff is movable, right? As far as the conditions over there, we have
Wait, so let's stop there. So a pop-up tent that sits there for days, that's okay.
It's not okay, and we have been there on several occasions to do cleanings. The individuals refuse to move as we can't force them to move. So therefore, we don't be successful all the time. We was just there last week. We going again next week, Tuesday, to attempt to do a cleaning. And I guess we'll just see what happens. We go there every single week to do cleanings, and the individuals refuse to move, and we can't force them to move. All we can do is clean whatever debris they have around them.
So if I left my apartment and dragged my furniture over there and set up a tent, I could just live there and you couldn't do anything about it?
We can't do anything about it, right? So we're not enforcement, we're social services. If there's any laws or any violations that are broken, that's NYPD has to do the enforcement part.
But is there a law about having a tent on the street? In LA, you're allowed to have a tent on the street. They're very specific about it. People can have a tent on the sidewalk. No one can take their tents away. They can live in a tent. I don't know if that's the rule in New York or not. The mayor can say whatever he wants about us not being an encampment city, but have we lost the lawsuit that says people can have tents on the street? So when somebody calls up and says, what about that tent? I can say, we lost the lawsuit. They can have a tent on the street. It's like,
I'm not sure, so I can't really give an answer, but I do know the tent cannot impede people from passing for egress and getting into their spaces. So I'm not sure about the laws and if we lost any lawsuits.
All right. So the second question was the lack of ongoing and regular follow-up and cleanup to address the discarded hypodermic needles, the accumulation of dumped trash, furniture, and other areas under the elevated BQE. We didn't invite Department of Sanitation, but in the old days when the police were allowed to be involved, the community affairs would get sanitation to come, the health department would come because we were told that nobody can touch the needles except health department people. and then you all went as a group. So you're saying that you do regular cleanups. Who's involved with those cleanups? Are a number of agencies or what?
This particular jurisdiction is under DSNY, and DSNY has their own needle crew, which is EPU. So any cleaners we do with DSNY, and once we let them know there's needles, they have their own unit that handles the needles.
Okay, what's EPU? Environmental
Protection unit.
Okay. Is there a Brooklyn person that you work with, or?
Once we inform DSNY and let them know there's needles, they the one who coordinates they.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to get resources because people call and say, my kids walk to school and there are a billion needles on their pathway. Is there the person that you could share with us that we could call to say, can somebody go and clean these needles?
I don't know for DSNY, but I know we have SSP, syringe program removal units for each borough that we can reach out to and they can assist.
Okay, so, but say Lisa Beaumonte, and Lisa, jump in here because you walk your kids to school.
Yes.
Lisa Beaumonte walks her kids to school, and one morning there's like somebody dumped out their whole Sharps box over there. Is there someone she can call that knows who to call to get those needles picked up? Because, we can't be picking them up.
That program is ran by the Department of Health, the syringe service program in Brooklyn, and they will be the one who come and do the syringe removals if it's not a part of a cleaning.
Right,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. My supervisor, Assistant Commissioner Matt Borden, he's trying to join the meeting, but he's not being let in. Can someone please assist?
Where is he? Because he's not in the attendees, and he's not.
Matthew Borden. I submitted his name. For some reason, I don't understand why he's not.
Did you send him the invite? With the
I did.
link on it?
It's not letting him in.
Because he's not showing up on the attendee list, which is where all the folk who aren't talking are hiding. So, Marie?
I'm listening. He was not listed to be invited. And
yeah, I sent the list. He's a panelist.
Everyone that was on the list got an invite.
Right, but he's here. He's here now trying to get in.
So I have to figure he has to sign in as an attendee so I can move him. I can't do a panelist now.
So, is that Yuri who was talking?
Yeah, that is me. I did submit Matt's name.
No, stop. So did you send him your copy of the invite that you got by any chance?
I did.
So is he trying to get in through that one?
I think he said that he's on. Let's see. It's not letting him join as a panelist.
Right.
Well, because if he can get in as an attendee, then Marie can move him in. But I don't see him in the attendees. Like I don't see his name coming up on any list. That's my problem. Is where is he now? Is he in a waiting to be entered person, or I don't know how this works.
Right, let me work on this a little bit. I'm going to turn off my mic so I can go to the other computer. Okay. And it's Yuri is the one I'm speaking to?
Yes.
All right.
Because I'm looking at 3 different lists and I don't see his name on any of them. So I'm just wondering is there a waiting room in WebEx? I have no idea how WebEx works. So in court, we're using Microsoft Teams now. So we've moved on from Skypes, whatever. Where were we? Oh, so Lisa Beaumonte?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Well, it's your concern. So you walk to school and there's needles.
Right. So what I'm saying is nobody's being specific as to who we can call. Like you're saying Department of Health. But is there a contact person that we can call, somebody in the community can call to say, oh, listen, there's an abundance of needles and that need to be picked up and removed. Can somebody please come?
Anybody?
Hey, this is Chris from Breaking Ground. I'm not 100% sure they do this, but I do have experience with a needle exchange program in northern Manhattan where they do pickups. So I would imagine that most of the community-based harm reduction programs do some form of pickups, and they join it with kind of an outreach with the individuals there. our program, our street outreach program, has partnerships with Vocal, which is one of the ones near downtown Brooklyn. I think After Hours Project is one we've been trying to work on a relationship with, which is along Broadway, a little farther out from Williamsburg area. I don't have a contact there, but they might be a start for a place to call if they do it. That's, again, they're nonprofits. They are through the state. They're the state sanctioned syringe exchange programs, but I don't know kind of their connection to like a larger, bigger cleanups.
Ben and Alex, I'm going to call.
Tom, it's Aaron. Well, I was just going to say, I imagine that DOHMH, similar to our agency, to DHS and DSS, have their liaisons. We can certainly follow up with DOHMH tomorrow and get you guys a name.
All right, because I was going to call out Alex and Ben on this one, because the problem is we members of the board are volunteers. We don't have all day long to be searching the universe. In the days before we cracked down on the police department for all the things everybody said the police department did bad and wrong, one thing they did really great for us was we would go to the community affairs officer and say, there's this issue, we've got syringes, we've got couches, we have tents, we have all this. And the community affairs officer knew all the right phone numbers, and suddenly this group of people would gather and we'd handle it all. And they were city employees paid to do that job. Right now, we don't know how to do that anymore because the police have been told, don't touch the homeless. So we're paying DHS and Breaking Ground and everybody in this room to work with the homeless, but we're not getting any resources so that when we walk to school in the morning and trip over a pile of needles, or we run into a tent with my car that we're trying to park, we don't know who to call. And, so I guess we're gonna have to call Ben and Alex and say, you guys fix this.
Well, I think, Tom, I'll chime in. I mean, we do have contacts at DOH, we have intergovernmental contacts at DOHMH and the DSNY that we can call. And I think a 311 report is always one way to go, and then let us know a number, a case number. I think that, DSS, Homeless Services, you sort of lumped picking up needles with cleaning encampments as together, and I think one's a public safety and one's a different thing. I'm not particularly fond of the word cleaning all the time. You're going there to try to assist the people that are there, and I think the key element that I think Casey's made, and I've worked. I just want to say one thing about Breaking Ground. I met Casey years ago when I was on CB6, and we've worked together a lot in the last couple of years. I have never had a complaint about people under the BQE or anywhere that she and her team don't know. So I do, and I think that it's important to recognize that they do these contacts and they do talk to these folks. If somebody does not want to go inside or get services, they can't. Can't make them. So they're there, and it takes sometimes many months or even years for somebody. There was a time when we used to complain about encampments, and they would come and they would give them a warning, and then they would give them another warning, and then I think they were with a multi-agency team come and move them, and then of course they come back because it's a convenient spot under the BQE. So there are more safe haven beds these days. But I think to the immediate question, a 311 complaint and letting us know the number is one way to call, or emailing us that there's an issue, and we could. And I won't speak for Alex, but I'm sure he would. I assume he would do the same. Would be one response.
Right, and we all know how 311 works.
Well, yeah, that's why I'm saying it always helps if you let one of us know that you've made a 311 complaint through email and sending us the number, then we can flag it. But I think in homeless situations, sometimes they do take a little while. There's only so many resources, and they are spread thin.
Hey, Tom, could I just say something? It's Giovanni.
Well, yeah,
again.
go for it.
So could I, this is like 15 minutes, and all we want to know is who do we call to pick up the hypodermic needles? And the agencies that are responsible No one knows. I work in the DOE. I know who to call if we have an issue with something, right? Like if we have an issue with the delivery of iPads, I know who to call, right? All we need to know as a community board is who do we call if there are hypodermic needles under the highway?
Or hypodermic needles in many other areas of the community, like where I live, under the tree pit, on the street. And I just want to add that this week I did speak with Alex Rodriguez from Reynoso's office as well about the problem, and calling 311 and connecting with Alex and Reynoso's office about this very problem.
And he's with us. He's in
Yeah,
the.
so maybe he can share a little bit more of what we talked about, because what we agreed upon was that people in the community, we're going to call 311 and we were going to coordinate it with the sanitation department. So just leave it to Alex to talk further.
Of course. Thank you, Gina. So, you know, as it was mentioned, I know that it's very frustrating about like calling 311, but at the end of the day, those numbers have to be shared with our offices. This is something with the homeless, specifically under the BQE, something that we've been working for years. And yes, we used to organize like task force of like different agencies. So on this meeting, there's no one from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. So that's something that I will ask about, like who will be the responsible person contact for that needle pickup or like clean or like whatever. But I need to get like specific answers on that. And also, I'm very concerned about like the way they've been talking about like the property or like the tents or like the, you know, to my understanding, even so that the many elected officials didn't want the involvement of the NYPD on like homeless treatment or like homeless enforcement that's related because of the lack of training. But I still think that they are the one who enforce, and I'm not sure like Breaking Ground or DHS are being talking to the NYPD or like they have any agreement, communication, or like how they will address this situation. Because one thing is having DSNY do the cleanups. We've been talking about that with Giovanni D'Amato and you, Tom. But I think that we need to go back to who the players are and how we can get this done. But we need to know the issues, and I will commit to get you the person from the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. Yeah.
And there's something. Well, there's these two things that were thrown around: DOHMH's Syringe Services Unit, which I've never heard of, and the Department of Sanitation's EPU. Like, who are those people?
Yeah,
and how do we work with them?
I usually work with DSNY, and they were the one that used to contact everybody else
Right.
for that kind of like specific situation. At least for us, we have more influence on DSNY because of the council member is the chair of sanitation. So it's been very productive, like to have them out there. But at the end of the day, if they have property, there is a sensitive topic or a sensitive way to deal with them. So I think that for maybe like next meeting, we need to have someone from the NYPD for like feedback and the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. So I think that.
Well, no, but I spoke to Captain Fay, and as long as I know, since the protests happened in the spring, NYPD is hands off with the homeless. It's been basically NYPD can't have anything to do with the homeless. It's like, we're not doing anything with the homeless when you call. It's like, that's
You're
not
right,
our area.
Tom, that's
We're
what
told
we
not to
call.
have anything to do about it.
Okay,
Tom, that's right. The budget that was passed dissolved the NYPD's homeless outreach unit.
And that's something that we feel is an improvement in the system. I would say we have not completely figured out what to do necessarily, and we all, I think we, as a council, agree that that's the correct thing to do. It's not a crime.
Right, but some of your residents in your district come to us who don't agree with that, and so we're just trying to figure out a different way to address.
We still need to figure out a good way.
So
we hear about it, we know why it was done, but some of those people who voted, the other way, don't want to hear about it. So we're just
No,
so it's just.
But Tom, at the same time, I just don't want to get into that. But at the same time, the mayor's office needs to find out what or like where the money is going to be put into in order to enforce this kind of situation. Because the services from Breaking Ground and DHS are there. What I've been hearing is the issue might be enforcement. And I do understand, of course, how the council member voted or like were very vocal about like not having the police the police dealing with the homeless. And
I'm sorry, guys. Alexis, I'm sorry. Marie, so Matt Borden is on, and I'm sure there's opportunities for him to respond. So can you please make him a panelist?
He is a panelist.
He is a panelist. He's in.
Okay, thank you so much.
He just has to unmute himself.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. All right.
And Ed Cerna from the mayor's office also made it in too. So.
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
So who is that?
Edward from mayor's office.
Oh, hi. And then Matt Borden.
Hi. Yes. How you doing?
You are.
I'm from DSS.
But like what level?
I'm an assistant deputy commissioner.
Okay, because I don't know how the categories go, like general, colonel, sergeant, like who's in charge of who.
I'm a 4-star general.
Like when somebody says I can't talk about that, the guy above me can. I don't know if you're above or below anybody,
That's
So it seems that some of the people in the room trying to get you in here were like, get Matt in here because he's above us all.
Like the folks I've been listening to this conversation. Everyone's saying all the right things. This has been obviously we're in a period of transition right now. Obviously from away from NYPD, as Aaron pointed out, that they've dissolved the homeless outreach unit, and we're really trying to work collectively and holistically dealing with the individuals as it arises. And obviously, hearing the hypodermic needles issue, obviously that's not that is DSS obviously related, but obviously our outreach folks aren't picking up those needles. So I think it does make sense, as other folks mentioned, to have folks from the DOHMH. And I also, that needle unit, that is also news to me. So it's, it's good to be a part of these conversations.
Right. So we're just we have people in our community district who clearly are not as socially sensitive as we are.
Sure.
Who see us on the street, not that much anymore because we're in our COVID masks, and say, what's with these people under the BQE?
Yeah.
Isn't anybody going to do anything about it? Who do we call? And I'm like, I don't know anymore. I used to be able to call community affairs and they'd whip a group together and we'd figure it out, and sanitation would take some of the furniture away, and health would come and take away the needles, and Breaking Ground would come to the little van and try and talk to the people. But we don't have that thing anymore.
It's that's still the goal. That's still obviously, when the system can operate effectively, that's what's happening. I think the BQE is tricky only just because there does run into some confusion, very bureaucratic wrangling, to be quite honest, regarding whether it's the state or city's obligation to sort of facilitate that cleanup. And
that's
so
why
right
we drag
now,
Eliana into this discussion.
and our local electeds have been very supportive, and so we're right now actively in ongoing conversation with the state to try to sort that out, because that's the kind of answer everybody hates about government, right? And I get that. So there are conversations that are happening at fairly high levels in terms of how can we push this forward? How do we solve this? Because that's what we have to do, because it's been going on for too long. So hopefully at the next
winter is coming.
winter is coming. Yes, Game of Thrones is no longer on the air, but winter is coming, and we need to figure it out. So I hope that, you know, by the next conversation we have, that we'll have more of an update, but I don't have one now.
All right, so that was the thing. We need a response to community concerns regarding a clear plan or mechanism to assure that the agencies providing outreach are providing appropriate services. So it's this,
right,
you know, like the North Brooklyn something or other. And there are North Brooklyn agencies that work with the homeless too. They're not a part of this discussion because there's just so many people we can crowd into a WebEx.
Sure.
But it's just, we don't have where we go forward. So, you know, I don't know if you saw the pictures that Jerry sent out today about, you know, with the tents, with the stuff just strewn all around them. Like, you know,
yeah, that's, I mean, that's,
you know, I got a
I'm glad
ticket the other day. I manage 2 small buildings because I work at Legal Aid. You have to have a second job to work at Legal Aid. And somebody walking down the street stuck styrofoam in the recycling can. So we got a $25 ticket. Those folk have, you know, property owners are like, we're getting tickets for crap and all that. The DOT, the state DOT should get a big ticket for not cleaning up that mess. And it's, you know, people get frustrated because they're getting screwed. COVID's screwing them. This is, you know, and then they come to the community board and we're like, I don't know who to call.
No, that's an impossible position to be in. So we definitely are going to continue to push forward because there needs to be a resolution on it.
You know, Ben wants us to call 311 and call him with the numbers. But then it's a couple of days go by.
That's the right. That's the right. I mean, that is the right answer.
Throw you under the bus.
But obviously, that's the right answer. And there's also other when it's BQE specifically, then it becomes a little bit more challenging. But I mean, I literally have been talking about this today with multiple people. So we are going to really make sure we try to step up and figure out how to move this forward.
All right, other committee members, you all had questions. You know, this isn't my favorite issue because I lived a block off Skid Row in LA for a long time. So
the
BQE is like light years from the tents on the streets of downtown LA. So they lost their lawsuit, and people can live wherever they want on the streets in LA. So and they could park their cars and live in their cars. So we could have people parking all their cars under the BQE if this was Los Angeles. So, but other people haven't had that experience. So
no, I appreciate that perspective. Yeah.
I've even hooked up people from LA with like Dan Tietz and a couple others to say, what can we do out here to, you know, get even where you guys are? And
I know. It's, I mean, we'll get pillared at times, and then we'll have other people from out of state come and go, how did you do this so well? You know, so it really is just a matter of perspective. But I understand what communities are coming from, and it's disturbing to see people that are in need of help. And you want to be able to make sure they're getting the help that they need. And, you know, that's what we are as a social service agency. That's what we want to make sure we provide people with the services that they need. And that's why we have partners like Breaking Ground. That's ours. You know, I think it's ministry in a sense. And it's really just trying to work with people again and again and again, trying to break down those barriers and foster communication. But it's a hard thing to explain to people when they just, you know, when they see something in front of them that's disturbing. So,
and Ben knows, like I do, that there are people who have no love for Breaking Ground whatsoever that we have to deal with on a regular basis.
Well, that's
Tom.
that's challenging.
Sorry, but Tom, I had something came up and I have to go.
Okay.
I just want to say, you know, the council member is chair of the General Welfare Committee. He's been working with DHS for years. I've been working with Matt and Yuri and Aaron and Casey. Also, and you know, we have disagreements, but I think everybody is trying hard, and you know, they're trying to reach people on the street at the level that they are at, in a way that we can help them. So, you know, the council member is open to hearing any concerns. He knows about these situations across the city as well as the VQE. So, you know, I said you can email and call me anytime, and I do appreciate the work that the DSS team.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you for all your work too. I know
Well, the big thing we need now, Ben, is somebody at sanitation and somebody at health who's going to deal with the needles.
I will make some calls tomorrow. I work with Alex. and Eliana too. I mean, but we'll work and we'll get some information for you.
Yeah, I just want to echo what both Ben and Alex have said.
I'm assuming that's Eliana speaking.
Yeah, hi. Sorry. I think my camera's on now.
It just went on now. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to echo what both of them said, and add that, you know, our office is also available for folks to reach out to. And it is very complicated, and I know that I speak on behalf of Brian in saying that, you know, we're working up to address this on a systemic level as well, in terms of providing housing to folks and trying to get people the resources that they need so that they don't have to be unhoused in the first place. But it is very complicated, and we're here and we're working hard, and I do think that it needs to be a triangulated effort of many agencies and offices, but please feel free to reach out to me as well.
But Eliana, the other issue is DOT's neglect of the infrastructure under the BQE. Like the storm drains that never drain, the signs that are unreadable because they're never cleaned, the construction equipment that's been stored there forever that's not doing any construction. So there's lots of places for nonsense to go on, and we're always like, but then they're like, well, that's New York City DOT is supposed to take care of that. And then they're like, no, that's the state DOT is supposed to take care of that. And they go back and forth and back and forth. And, you know.
Yeah, I hear that it's getting bounced around, and I definitely want to make sure that we can stop the bouncing so that things can actually be addressed. I think that if we can maybe talk about the details of maybe some specific things we can bring to DOT later, that would be great, so that we can address that more specifically.
Yeah, one of the attendees who's not a participant is Eric Brusadas, who's the chair of the Transportation Committee, and I'm sure Transportation Committee has issues with the way city DOT, state DOT fight over that territory, and then everything just gets lifted in the lurch because it's like, I'm not responsible, you know, for street sweeping. You know, we do alternate site parking under there, but I've never seen it get swept. So it's, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
All right, other committee members, anybody got stuff they'd like to add?
This is Bozina.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see if I can have my video on. Okay. I know we're talking about the BQE and the problem out there, but my biggest concern, and especially since I'm dealing with the seniors and I provide programs for the seniors, and we have more and more vulnerable seniors around, Greenpoint Avenue in Manhattan. It's a sore eyesore for the community. We had people living on one side of Greenpoint Avenue. They move on the other side now, where the Polonaise used to be. Now there are shelves on a wall, and there's some stuff being displayed: books, clothes, shoes. It looks like somebody's closet. So it's but this is already disgusting and unbelievably not acceptable for the community, for people passing. But my other concern is those people asking for money from the seniors, setting them up in front of the stores or grocery stores or vegetable stands, and asking the seniors and people that purchasing stuff for money. And this is very, very, bothersome for those seniors and for those elderly, which shouldn't be happening. And I saw a few people that work with the city services, talking to those homeless guys, but really not much is being done. And I think we should concentrate on that too. It's not only BQE, which is sort of out of sight, but not out of mind, but we are here in the center of the Greenpoint, and we still have that problem.
Anybody aware of that intersection and what's happening there, and can outreach be done? Or
yes, this is Casey. So So yeah, I mean, we are very aware of that location as well. It is a very similar issue to the BQE in that it is really driven by panhandling. There's a subway stop right there. It's a high traffic area for shopping and driving traffic, like to McGinnis and to the bridge that's over there. So, we do our best. We do engage everybody, and we are, we have made inroads. We've gotten some folks from that area into housing, and then new people will come to the location. So it's a constant struggle, but we are aware of the location, and we are there, a couple of times a day to engage folks and to work with them to move them indoors. We have a new stabilization bed program in Williamsburg and have had success in coaxing some folks to go indoors with that. And it's close to their location. Again, that doesn't solve the panhandling problem, but it does give them a place to stay and improve their health and well-being. So we have had some successes lately, but I understand it's a difficult thing to see every day and a difficult thing to encounter every day.
I don't think that's satisfied you, Bozina, but
No, not really.
if we can work, well, we got to work closer, I think, with Casey to try and work on it.
I know Zoom meeting is not gonna, or WebEx meeting is not gonna fix the problem. That's for sure. But at least I just wanted to point out that location, which is the center of Greenpoint, and right now there's one good thing that the elevator is almost done, subway elevator, which is great. That's going to be a great asset for the community. But this thing is just bothering so many people. Thank you.
Tom?
Yes, ma'am.
Eric has his hand raised.
Yes, he just told me he wants to ask a question, so could you unmute him so you can ask a
Okay, I
question?
just one question.
Right,
first.
thank you. I'm watching so many lists here. It's like,
Hello.
Eric? Hi, Eric. Identify yourself.
Hi, Eric Brazedas, Chair of CB1 Transportation Committee. Thank you for letting me speak, Tom. I had a question so you may be aware that DOT has tentative plans now to put metered parking under the BQE in 3 phases. The first is from Leonard to Metropolitan. And when we had them before the committee in November, there was discussion about how they were relocating some of the homeless encampments under there, but clearly that really hasn't been done. And I just wanted to know, we're kind of holding their feet to the fire on the details of this plan, which was just forced on us. And what communications you may have had or know about between DOT and homeless services to relocate those encampments or to work with them, and just in general, anything you know about it.
Yeah, and there was some suggestion, I don't know where, that they weren't the most friendly relocations of people that were under there. So, Casey, have you had experience with people being moved by DOT?
In the past, it was part of the cleanups that would happen in previous iterations. Like they would, be more forceful and move people with, they would, rather than allowing people to gather their belongings, they would just come in and throw everything away, and that would obviously move people along. That was a loss. It was lost. So they don't do that anymore. They have to give them notice, and in this particular time where we're figuring out how to do the cleanup without police involvement, they are having a harder time when people say no to them. They're not really, from what I've been told, they're not really knowing what to do. The folks, the DHS folks, Tanya and the others at JCC might know more on that part. But yeah, it's not happening as forcefully as it once did.
Okay, that came up. That was really broken up, but I'm getting out of that was that hasn't been happening.
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but it's like this crazy bubbly sound.
There's something in the background. Yeah, it's not that the background noise isn't me. That's somebody else.
Oh, everybody else mute.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I could mute myself.
Okay, go ahead, Case. Oh, Casey got muted.
There, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's
In
better.
previous iterations of cleanups, they were much more forceful. They would not give them notice, or they would, if a person, even if a person refused to move, they would still take their belongings and throw them away. And there were incidents of people's ID and income and valuables being thrown out during those cleanups. So because of that, there was a lawsuit and things were changed. And when the police were involved, they were still able to do a bit of enforcement and to kind of push people along a little more forcefully. But now that there's no police involvement in these cleanups, they're not being as assertive. So people are being allowed to refuse, and it's good and bad. They're being allowed to refuse, and so they're not necessarily, the cleanups aren't always happening when they're scheduled.
Have you seen DOT cleaning up that first stretch,
Not
or
lately.
attempting to clean up that stretch? Have your clients said to you the DOT showed up the other morning and told us we needed to get out of here, or anything like that?
They haven't said DOT. They've said that there have been cleanups occasionally. Like they'll just one day come back and their stuff will be gone. And it's a tricky thing. Like if a person is there, they can refuse to have their belongings thrown out. But if they're not there, it's kind of seen as abandoned property and they're able to just throw things away. So if a person leaves their location, then they're likely to be cleaned up, but otherwise not. But yeah, no one speaks specifically about DOT, but I know from speaking to the DHS folks that there have been some times when those cleanups have not happened because of this dispute about whose property it is and whose responsibility it is.
No, we all know how that works, because we
Yeah.
also know that sanitation can't pick things up unless they're posted for 3 days. But the transportation committee is trying to get the truth from DOT, what it's doing about the parking spaces underneath. And have they gone out and have been moving people because they're going ahead with this plan without us knowing about it? That's all. I know what they can and cannot do, but if they're trying to push through this metered thing without us knowing about it, they might have talked to some of your clients and said, could you guys just move on to the next section because we're going to be putting meters here? That's
I haven't heard that.
Do you hear that on the street or not?
No.
And the other thing is, and if Jerry's still on the call, he'll I'm sure remember that conversation that we had, and it was intimated from the head of parking is that they were doing outreach. There was kind of a touchy-feely attitude, I guess, about what they were planning to do to make the parking happen. But then, whether they moved stuff or not, everybody, because I walk that stretch at least 2 times a week, all the way from Kingsland all the way down. So I know those folks pretty well. And I saw something initially a couple weeks back, but then everybody was back. So if they're talking to you at all to back that up, to say, oh, we, engaged with DHS to do it the right way or whatever, instead of just picking stuff up and throwing it out. It's just helpful for us to know what's really happening. And that's really my only question.
Yeah. So if you see us, let us know. Whoever. Okay. Other committee members?
This is Simon. Do you hear me?
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Yeah, good.
Where are you? Are you in our list? What name are you on the list? Where are you?
I'm calling in. I'm not.
Oh, you're a
virtual.
phone in. Okay, that's why I don't see you. Okay.
Okay, so first of all, thank you very much for a very important issue. I just want to also point out, I went on Sunday. I went to the bank, Chase Bank on Havermeyer Street, and the other side of Williamsburg, and it was my heart was aching when I saw homeless people like sleeping just before the door of the bank. So it's the problem of homeless is not just under the BQE.
Right.
A lot of areas in the community see this, and not just for their sake, but also a safety issue. All over. Situation is very dear at this point. Not just under the BQE. It's just good to point out.
Where did you say that was?
That was before the Flushing Bank on Havermeyer, and I think it's South 5. I think South 3 or South. I think it's South 5. South 5 and Havermeyer, the Flushing Bank. They just sleep on the floor, like with You know, unbelievable.
Casey, are you aware of that location?
Yeah,
Did you
I
get-
am.
Okay. So Simon, you didn't introduce yourself, so everybody knows who you are.
I'm sorry. This is Simon Weiser. I'm a member of the board and also first vice chair.
Right. So Casey's writing all those names down so she can tell us. She can, keep in touch with us all.
All right. Thank you.
All right. So, any other committee board members? Bree, Gina.
No, I agree with Simon that, on the south side of Williamsburg, in front of the banks, on Broadway, there's a lot of homeless people that in the morning you just see them sleeping on the street. And there's a lot of drug use. There continues to be a lot of drug use as well. I understand that on Broadway, between Rodney and Keith, now there is a shelter, a homeless shelter. It's new, temporary. That's what Alex told me. So I don't know how successful is breaking ground and working with people and.
I mean, the shelter belongs to us as well. I mean, the building doesn't belong to us, but the shelter itself is our clients and our work.
Whose voice was that?
This is Casey, sorry. I oversee that location as well. We're having great success. We've moved in about 70 people since September.
Okay.
And about 5-6 of them from the area under the BQE and in Greenpoint. It's been a really great success, and we've had, people are really thrilled to be able to stay in the area because a lot of them do come from Williamsburg and Greenpoint and Bushwick. Yeah, it's been really, really great.
Oh, okay. So that's good. That's good news.
Casey, can you give us a breakdown or a printout or a list or a missive on what your services are within Community Board 1 so that the board members know what's here and also where to reach you and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, would you like me to send you something after?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
Because I've also spoken to Yuri about because there's a bunch of different shelters, and I don't even know where they all are within our community board area. But Yuri, if you could put that list together for the committee members as well, because I don't want to be the only one who knows all this stuff. I want to give it away to other people.
I invite you guys to come by if you want to just take a look at what we're doing there. We're more than glad to have you. We're there every day. It's been a really great experience.
And you also have the beds available at the Men's Assessment Center, right?
We haven't used them in a while.
Right, they never get used. I'm like, is there any way to improve that?
We have access. No one wants to go there. They have other options now, rather than just the shelter, and are able to stay in the neighborhood with other things. So
I mean, they're all closed now as it is, but I mean, when it's open, but
yeah, we've used it when we had somebody that was connected to Greenpoint and high functioning enough to exist in a shelter. We've offered that to them.
All right, so going forward, do we keep? I mean, Yuri's got 1 million different community boards to deal with in Brooklyn. We can overwhelm her if she's the resource, but is that what DHS sees as the person we should be always going to?
Yeah. I mean, Yuri is our Brooklyn borough director. So
Well, we could use two Yuris because Brooklyn's a big borough.
Oh man, listen, if it was up to me, I would have 10 Yuris, and I'd have them in all the boroughs. So, listen, this is what we have.
I was thinking of getting Erin a hat to wear at the community board meetings. It's says DSS on it right here, the big arrow pointing.
You wouldn't do that, Tom.
Tom, I thought we were friends. We've known each other so long.
Listen, we're happy to. We always want to be as responsive as we can. We know that we don't always have the easiest answers, which I wish that we did. But you always have our guarantee that we'll work really hard to try to do the best job and try to help folks that are in need of help. And we're going to continue to look to try to, the more beds that we can create for folks that are sleeping on the street and who are chronically street homeless, the better. Safe havens have a much, folks who are on the street just have a much easier time coming in when there's a low threshold place like a safe haven. And so we are, attempting to open more beds, and certainly we'll circle back if,
Now,
when we have more updates.
as part of the COVID response, have you developed a public communications thing for the people who are fleeing to their parents' houses to stop leaving their furniture under the BQE for the homeless?
I can only do so much, Tom.
Please do that, please.
They move out and they drag their couches over there, like, oh.
I can't take that one on, but I appreciate it. But I support you in your efforts.
If you're moving out, don't give your furniture to the street homeless. Doesn't work.
That's actually that's true, and we do talk to small businesses, and I'm sure that Breaking Ground can talk about that. But obviously, in terms of putting out cardboard and other kinds of items, we certainly discourage that because folks can take that.
No, I'm talking about seriously couches. They drag couches over there. Like, I'm moving out of my apartment. I'm going to take my couch over to the BQE, and then.
Wow. Well, that is a unique issue.
And there's that one guy who had like 7 mattresses just stacked up like the Princess and the Pea because people are just like dragging their mattresses over there.
All right.
So
We'll
that's
get
when we're
DSNY on the next
we're
one.
like, DSNY, get over there, pick up those mattresses because all those, it's heebie-jeebies in them.
Tom?
Yes.
I don't know if I may have missed it, but did they discuss about the weather change now that we're entering winter? Is there any?
Do we talk about Code Blue? We didn't talk about Code Blue.
Casey, do you want to talk about Code Blue or Tanya?
I can. This is Casey. Code Blue, when the weather drops below freezing or the wind chill drops below freezing, they do call Code Blue for the city. We have our teams kind of singularly focused between 4 p.m. and 8 a.m. at looking for folks that are particularly vulnerable, folks that are known to stay on the street regardless of the weather, and to engage those people around you moving indoors to safety. We are, good at, before it gets really cold, we're able to encourage a lot of folks to go inside. So we've had a good number of moves lately to get people off the street into a stabilization bed or a safe haven. But yeah, so that's, we had 2 Code Blues earlier this week. We'll probably start having them every day soon. But are, out there looking for folks and trying to connect as best we can to make sure everybody's safe.
So, if we see somebody out there in the freezing cold, what's the quickest way to get to you guys? Not 311, is it? Or is there a way to call Breaking Ground directly, or will that like overwhelm you?
I mean, during Code Blue, they turn off the 311 system. Everything goes to 911. So because it is an emergency if a person is out during the cold weather. But you can reach out to me, email me, send me a text message.
My gosh, Casey is like the hardest working street outreach person. I can't believe she just said that. She just broke all the rules.
My winters are already, my life is already taken over.
Oh my God. She can honestly say that like her only flaw in her job interviews is that like she works too hard. Like it's too much.
I can appreciate it. I have my 15-year-old delinquents have been calling me all afternoon, all evening, so
I prefer email. But yeah, y'all
thank you, Casey. You really are. I mean, you really are amazing. I say that honestly.
Thank you.
Really remarkable.
But yeah, y'all can reach out to me. I do want that, like from other community boards that we're, well engaged with, they will email me and say, hey, we've noticed this person on the corner of such and such and such and such. They look unwell. Can you go out and talk to them? And I 1000% appreciate that because we want to make sure that we're encountering everyone who needs our help. That's our purpose. And that's why we're on the streets. So we really do want that extra help from you guys because you're also on the street.
Not anymore, and I'm quarantined. But
that's true.
The sheriff's been calling me every day. Are you still in your house? I'm like, yes, I'm still here. Stop. It's kind of funny though. They call you to check on you if you're home, and we're all walking around with cell phones. We could all lie through our teeth, but I'm home. And it's only because I flew in from California, so I have to, be hunkered down. Anyone else have any questions? Casey, you're gonna supply your email when you send me the list of what you have in Board 1 so I can share it with my committee members?
Yes, sir. I can do that.
All right. And you can get it to Maria.
Can we figure out, happy to have Casey share her email with committee members. If there's a way to not have it just become a general like this is, you know, North Brooklyn home, right? Like I appreciate what she's saying, but I do want to be cognizant of her workload. And I just feel like, you know, I think it's very kind to try to go out of the way for the community board, but I would just prefer if we didn't disseminate that widely beyond that, if that's okay.
Right. No, I'm going to keep it under control. Casey and I will figure that out. You know,
Thank you.
I know all about it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be better if it only stays within the community board, you know, team. They can get messages to me. Yeah, definitely okay with that.
All right.
Thank you Mike, for regulating me.
Other committee members, we have a couple other items that are new business, but if we don't have any other questions for the DHS, SSS, we can let them go. What do you think?
Okay.
Committee? Hello, committee.
I'm here.
Okay. Yeah.
We're happy to come back, and I'm sure we'll
They can go.
Yes,
All right. Thank you so much, everyone.
We're happy to come back.
Thank you.
But committee members stay. Committee members don't go anywhere.
Tom, can you hear
We'll
me?
be there on
I can hear
Tuesday
you.
to do that cleaning.
All right, because I was on unmute. All right, I'm sorry. Now,
Oh, did you want to say something, Marie?
now, the only thing I wanted to say was that I find it every time coming off the expressway, I find it very dangerous that they, you know, ask for money or donation, give me some money or something like that, because coming down the expressway, you have a thin, narrow area where, God forbid, if they get dizzy, they can fall right into one of the cars. I mean, to say, you know, that's kind of, to me, is very dangerous.
All right. Well,
Just to let them know that, you know what I mean?
I know. I've seen it. I've called out a couple myself. I promise to behave, Casey. Don't worry.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting us. I'll
Thank you.
See you soon.
Have a nice holiday.
Thank you too.
All right, committee.
Yes.
Is Gio here? Is he still there?
Here.
You want to do your letter request?
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys noticed, but the lines for COVID testing are crazy. And, you know, I think we need to have a permanent site in Greenpoint to help reduce the lines that are, you know, at 333 Roebling and Woodhull Hospital. So you know, if we could send a letter, I've been, you know, I spoke to Levin's office, I spoke to Lentol's office about putting out a statement about getting a permanent site in Greenpoint. So I was hoping the community board could send a letter. So I sent the draft to Tom. I don't even know who to request it to.
Well, that's what I'm
but,
saying. I don't know who it would go to other than the what is it? The test and trace, whatever that is. Because that's under health and hospitals, right? The testing in New York is health and hospitals, not HA.
Well, is what's his name on here? The guy from the mayor's office. What's his name?
Eric.
Ed.
Ed.
Is he still here? Is he gone?
He left. He left. He wasn't
Oh,
there. He wasn't.
shoot. All right.
Well, we can write a letter to the mayor, I guess. And the head of HHC, because they're running these self-test ones in all the little clinics, the Woodhull clinics all over the neighborhood.
So the one in Greenpoint has been very successful, but you know the self-test one?
Yeah.
You know, and on days that it's open, the line gets pretty, you know, it supplements the other places. And if I sound like I'm obsessed with the testing sites, I kind of am, just because I think people shouldn't have to wait on a line to get tested.
Especially when it gets cold.
2 hours. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's
2 hours.
It's ridiculous. So especially, you know, the holidays are coming up. One holiday just ended. The other one's coming up. We need to have like a permanent place. You know, like these pop-ups should just become permanent. You know, keep it permanent, and then they could eventually
the
transition to
self-test
something
ones
else.
seem to be only open Monday to Friday. The self-swab ones.
Yeah.
So.
And they're not open every week. So they weren't open the week right before Thanksgiving. You know, and that was the busiest week. So the one at Roebling Street ended up, I think the line was over, I think it was like 3 hours on the day before Thanksgiving. And then they ended up running out of tests at a certain point.
Oh. Okay. Well, so Giovanni had given me a draft of a letter to go to who, I don't know who. I would think maybe the mayor and the the ED of Health and Hospitals Corporation, since they seem to be running all of this, requesting the addition of a permanent testing site in Greenpoint in the 11222 zip code. And he outlined that the holidays are coming up and we have to make testing more accessible. Just basically urging them to add another permanent site, but like in Greenpoint, because 333 Roebling is like South Williamsburg, so there really needs to be a more, site in the north part. Rosina?
Greenpoint does not have
Yes,
a permanent
yes,
site.
Tom. I want to point out something. We had information from Department for the Aging that for the senior centers that have been closed because of the COVID, and they were inspecting if there is a possibility to have those facilities to use for the testing. But they did, I believe they did few inspections in the senior centers, and they will, qualify certain sites in a community that will be accessible and according to whatever requirements they have. I did spoke with
Who is doing that? Health and Hospitals?
No, I think it's a health department.
Oh, okay. Because it's hard to. There's a fight between the health department and DOHMH over who was doing the tracing.
Yes,
So, I don't know.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna find the notice and I'm gonna forward to you, so you will see who reach out to us. But that was through DEFTA, Department for the Aging.
Right.
So it's possible that they will choose the sites that they inspected. I know we have one location in Manhattan, and they've been there, and they did some sort of measurements, air, space and stuff, because they really don't need much. They just need one table, little chairs and equipment, whatever the tests.
Good idea.
So maybe we can light a fire under them with this thing by saying, we're writing to request the addition of at least one additional permanent.
No, I think that's a great idea. I think
Right.
it's an excellent idea. So we need something in Greenpoint, definitely. If you go on Manhattan Avenue and this is by the old Greenpoint Savings Bank, it's like the line is all around the corner, and the people not even having a social distance is not 6 feet. It's 3 feet, maybe 2 feet sometimes, because it's such a long line.
What
So
site is that like a permanent site, or is that like a?
this is permanent. Yes,
That's City MD.
That's City MD. We're talking
Yes.
about a Health and Hospitals run one. That's what we're
Oh,
talking
I see. Okay, so it's different.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
2 hours to wait online for COVID. That's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I've been to the 333 Roebling one, and it's
God.
kind of scary. Especially
I've been to the 333 Roebling, and I also went to the one in Greenpoint, the self-test, and you get your results in like 2 days, right? Like it's smooth, it's quick. I
but
mean,
you're just online forever in the freezing cold.
that's why I think if we could get like a H&H level site in Greenpoint, the lines will be drastically reduced at the other sites.
Okay. So, did you send the draft to a copy? Can you email a copy to Marie so Marie and I can come up with a letter to present to the full board? Because we're meeting on Tuesday, right?
I
On Tuesday?
sent it to Marie this earlier, but I'll take another look.
Yeah. Because I just scribbled in adding the addition of at least one additional permanent. They can open as many as they want, but we want at least one. All right. And then the other thing is, I got an email from the board got an email from a student at this New Explorations into Science, Technology, and Math. She lives in Board 1. She's noticed an increase in homeless population. She wants to provide homeless aid via direct, like, care packages and food and clothing donations. And She wants to do this project. She wants our support to get these things. But I would think that there's agencies within our community that are doing this already that she should just join forces with. But I'm not all that aware of what everybody's up to. So perhaps if Marie sent that note to all the members of the committee, you can all take a look at it and see how we might respond to her.
I think that's a good idea because Polish Slavic Center is also getting the packages ready for the seniors just before Christmas. So sure.
Right. So I think we could hook her up with some community-based agency rather than have her start her own. She's reaching out to ask how to fund and organize a program. I'm like, just hook up with one that already exists, like the North Brooklyn Angels or any one of those kind of things. So Marie, where is she? Marie, can we send out that letter we got from Anna Kaufman to all the committee members? Marie, turn your mic on so you can speak. Marie? We've lost Marie.
Tom? No, I was just on the phone.
I'm sorry.
I believe that letter went to all the committee members.
You think?
Yes.
Oh.
I just can't check it on the computer right now, but that's what I was told.
All right. Well, then I'll have to send it out again to say, okay, everybody, give me some ideas. Anything else, anybody, right now? We've done an hour and a half.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah, this issue or another issue?
Who's this?
It's Simon. Sorry, Simon.
Simon. Okay, Mysterious Simon. Well, you have another item that's not on our agenda?
Yeah. I just want to bring up something, and I want to make sure before I want to explain. I have received a lot of complaints. I have observed myself, and I received complaints about some bikers that are driving one way, driving all the way of the street and not obeying, passing red lights, passing red lights, flashing lights from school buses. A kid was hit the other day. I saw a lady being hit on my block last week. She was crossing the road. She looked to one side. The bike came on the other, one way, and it was hit. I mean, but thank God, nothing major. But again, I'm not against. I want to make sure not get rid of it. I don't want to sound that I'm against, because people always think the stigma that against bikers.
Are these bicycles or electric bikes?
Well, both of them, both.
Okay. All right.
Both. Again, and it's an ongoing issue, and God forbid something happens to a bike kid. Everybody's up in arms,
Is it the 9.0 or?
The 9.0, yes, it was the 9.0. 9.0.
Yeah, the 9.0 has a what's next Wednesday? Next Wednesday, the 9.0 is supposed to be having a virtual a Zoom precinct council meeting.
Right. Okay.
So we should that should be brought up at that, because then the commander, can get somebody, because they do have a bike enforcement person, but they just have to be told, what people are saying, so they go out and do something about it. So they do have a Zoom meeting on Wednesday, so maybe come to that. Okay.
Right. Good. Very good.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody want to make a motion?
What's the adjourn?
Second the motion, Jana.
Okay. All those in favor?
Right?
Anybody opposed to continue meeting all night long?
No. Let's have a think.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Stay safe.
Tuesday.
Stay safe.
Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Marie, go home.
I have to finish up with the meeting. So you guys are done. I'm gonna close it.
Sorry.
Okay.
We'll talk tomorrow about this. I had to do those 2 reports. I got to put all this stuff together. So,
Okay.
and work has been crazy this week, so we'll get it done. All
Okay.
right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
Night.
Good night.
Night.